My daughter called me a monster in front of her friends. She spit in my face and whispered, "They'll never believe you." I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "You don't know what you started." That night, a note slid under her door. "I'm 47, widowed, not by death, by abandonment." Ava's mum walked out on us when our daughter was just 6 years old. No goodbye, no warning. One night she simply said, "I can't do this anymore," walked out the front door like she was heading to grab a gallon of milk, and just never came back. We were living in Ravensshade, Vermont at the time. Her leaving shattered me, but I didn't have the luxury of falling apart. I had to keep my job, keep the rent paid, and raise a little girl who kept asking why her mummy was gone. I held her when she cried. I told her comforting lies like, "Mummy's just away for a while," even though I knew the truth. I gave that girl everything. Worked nights in a shipping warehouse. Came home every morning to make her breakfast. Never missed a parent-teacher conference, a school play, a flu shot, you name it. I even turned down promotions just to stay on the night shift so I could be home during the day. She never went to bed hungry, always had clean clothes, never missed a birthday. But once she hit middle school, things started changing. At first I chalked it up to hormones, mood swings, some sass, nothing out of the ordinary. But by 15, she was a whole different person. She'd come home late, reeking of weed and cheap liquor, wearing outfits that practically screamed, "Look at me." I'd ask where she'd been, and she'd roll her eyes. "Don't worry about it, Dad. You wouldn't understand." I tried everything. Grounding, taking her phone, even therapy. She bailed out of 3 sessions and called the 4th therapist a fake-ass know-it-all. Then the school started calling. She was skipping class, falling behind. One day, the principal left me a voicemail saying Ava got caught selling someone else's Adderall. She denied it all, of course, claimed the principal was out to ruin her life. But none of that prepared me for what happened 3 weeks ago. I'd just finished a brutal double shift and could barely keep my eyes open. All I wanted was to crash on the couch, maybe heat up some leftover pasta. Instead, I walked into what looked like the aftermath of a break-in. Glass all over the floor. The TV screen was shattered, couch cushions slashed open. The whole place reeked of beer. And there she was, Ava, sitting cross-legged on the floor, casually painting her nails like it was just another Tuesday. "What the hell happened here?" I asked. She didn't even look up, just said, "Maybe you had a breakdown and forgot. Or maybe this place finally looks like the home of the monster you really are." Something in me just snapped. "You watch your damn mouth," I said, louder than I meant to. "I bust my ass to give you this home, and this is how you treat it." She stood up slowly and got right in my face. I could smell that toxic mix of drugstore perfume, weed, and teenage defiance. Then, without blinking, she spat directly in my face. "You're nothing," she sneered. "A sad, pathetic old man. You can't even control your own kid. No one would ever believe what happens in this house." I didn't hit her, didn't scream. I just wiped my cheek, stared her dead in the eye, and said, low and steady, "You have no idea what you've just started." She smirked like she'd won and walked away. But that was the last time I let her think she had the upper hand. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't even turn on the lights, just sat at the kitchen table in the dark, sipping cold coffee and staring into nothing. Every sacrifice I ever made for her came flooding back. Every overtime shift I pulled to buy birthday presents, every toy I fixed, every time I held her while she cried about her mum. And now she saw me as the villain. I just sat there waiting. Around 1:30 in the morning, I heard her door creak open. Soft footsteps. I'd recognize them anywhere. She went to the bathroom. I didn't move. But when she returned to her room, I heard her stop. Then, silence. And then, a scream. "What the hell?" She ran into the kitchen shaking, clutching a folded piece of paper. "You think this is funny? You trying to scare me or something?" she shouted. I stayed still, calm. "What are you talking about?" I asked, flat and cold. She threw the note at me, and it landed on the table. I unfolded it, and even though it looked like her handwriting, I was the one who wrote it. I know her script, how she loops her G's, how she dots her I's with angry little stabs. Years of signing permission slips and report cards made me an expert in her penmanship. The note read, "You think you run this house. You forgot who pays the bills. You forgot who knows your passwords. You forgot who's been watching you for years. You forgot who taught you how to fake tears. I'm not the monster. You are. Sleep tight." Her face went pale. For the first time in years, she looked like the scared little girl I used to hold. Shaken, vulnerable. "You're sick," she whispered. I stared her down. Flat expression, no emotion. "Go to bed, Ava," I said. Just that. But she didn't. She stayed holed up in the corner of her room all night. The light stayed on, door locked. I could hear her pacing, whispering to someone on the phone, probably one of her friends. Did I care? Not really. Next morning, she skipped school, said she felt sick. She didn't speak to me, didn't even look my way, just picked at her toast like it was some kind of punishment. I didn't say anything either, because that night, I moved to phase 2. I acted like I was heading to work as usual, packed my bag, put on my reflective vest, even slammed the front door on my way out. Routine like always, but I didn't go go anywhere. I circled around the side of the house, slipped in through the garage, and quietly settled into the dark laundry room. Earlier that day, I'd found an old baby monitor in the basement from when Ava was still small, and I'd already plugged it in near her room. It didn't transmit video, just grainy, muffled sound. But that was enough. I sat in the laundry room, listening. She was on speakerphone with someone, probably Lily, that friend she always sneaks out with. She's losing it, Ava said. He left this creepy-ass note last night like in my handwriting. I swear, if I go missing, it's him. I clenched my jaw. Then she twisted the knife. You remember that bruise I had last year? The one I said was from cheer practice. She paused, then laughed. I told the school it was from him. They totally believed me. I could ruin his life any time I wanted. All it takes is one phone call. She laughed again, a sharp, cruel laugh that made my ears ring. My hands were shaking. She lied. She planted that idea. Abuse in people's heads. I remembered that day clear as glass. The school called me in. The guidance counselor pulled me aside, said they were worried about Ava's safety. I felt like I was gonna puke. I thought maybe a teacher or another kid had hurt her. But no, she lied. She pointed the finger at me, just to hurt me. That night, I didn't sleep. Didn't go to work either. Called in sick. First time in 4 years. I spent the entire day prepping for what came next. Ava didn't notice. She was too busy living on her phone, texting, scrolling, watching shows at full blast, slamming the fridge every hour for snacks she didn't even buy. But I noticed everything. At exactly 11:15 p.m, I shut off the Wi-Fi. 10 minutes later, I heard her stomping down the hallway. Dad, the internet's down. I didn't answer. She came charging downstairs, phone in hand. Hello? She snapped. I was sitting in the living room, reading an old paperback. Calm. Unbothered. She glared at me. Did you forget to pay the bill again? I looked up, tilted my head slightly. No, I turned it off. She blinked. Excuse me? I said. I turned it off. She scoffed. You can't do that. I need it for school. I looked her dead in the eye. You haven't done schoolwork in months. She opened her mouth, closed it. Then she screamed. You're insane. I stood up, slow and steady. I'm not the one faking bruises and accusing my own father of abuse. Her face went pale. She froze. She didn't know I'd heard. You're eavesdropping now, she stammered. I nodded. I heard everything. The call, the lies, the threats. She backed away, step by step, toward the stairs. You're just mad I told the truth. No, I said. I'm mad I protected you, even when you didn't deserve it. She ran back to her room, slammed the door behind her. 2 hours later, I slid another note under her door. This one was typed. It said, you want to play the victim? I've got the messages. I've got the recordings. I've got photos of the bruises you gave yourself. I've got snapshots of your nights out with older men. I've saved everything. You think no one will believe me? You're not the little girl who cried wolf. You are the wolf. I stayed in the hallway after slipping it under. She opened the door about 5 minutes later. Slowly, her hands were shaking. Why are you doing this? She whispered. To wake you up. She slammed the door again, but I knew I'd gotten into her head. The next day she stayed in her room. Didn't yell, didn't blast music, didn't demand food, just silence. That night, I actually went to work. When I got home in the morning, I noticed something in the trash. The copy of the note was gone. She'd dug through and taken it. She was starting to worry. Good, but I wasn't done. Not even close. She needed to understand what betrayal really costs. The silence didn't last. 2 days after I left the typed note, I came home from my shift and saw a police cruiser parked outside. I just stood on the sidewalk for a second, breathing. I already knew why it was there. When I walked inside, Ava was sitting at the kitchen table, arms crossed, face smug. Across from her sat a young officer. Couldn't have been older than 28. He looked up at me like I might explode. You Mr. Halstead? He asked. I nodded. Yeah, something wrong, officer? Before he could respond, Ava jumped in. I told him everything. About the notes. About how you've been threatening me. The officer cleared his throat. Sir, your daughter's made some serious claims that we're obligated to look into. She says she's been receiving threatening notes and believes you're unstable. I looked over at Ava. She gave me a small, tight-lipped smile. Cold, triumphant. I turned back to the officer. Did she show you the notes? She said she burned them, he replied. I raised an eyebrow. Did she happen to mention the fake abuse claim? She made similar accusations at school, I said. Ones they dropped because there was no evidence. The officer blinked. That's not part of her statement. I tilted my head. Did she tell you I'm the one who pays all the bills, that I keep a roof over her head, that she's been skipping classes, doing drugs, and lying for months? He glanced from Ava to me and back again. That's not what she said. I stepped to the side and opened my hand. You want to search the house? Be my guest. You won't find a thing. The cop hesitated, cleared his throat. At this time, we're not pursuing anything. This was just a welfare check. No evidence, no warrant. But if we get another call, I understand, I said. Thanks for coming. He nodded and made for the door. Ava walked him out, switching on that fake sugar-sweet smile she used to fool her teachers. Thanks again, officer. I just didn't know what else to do, she said. Then she closed the door, turned around, and looked at me. Did you really think that would work? I asked her. She gave a little shrug. You're slipping, she said. Sooner or later, someone's gonna believe me. That night, I plugged in an old USB drive, one I'd hidden for months. See, while she was out drinking and partying, I was documenting, watching, collecting photos of her stumbling through the door at 3 a.m., screenshots of her Instagram burner accounts, threatening teachers, bullying classmates, bragging about how fun it was to drive her dad insane. Audio clips of her screaming at me, cursing me out, saying she hoped I'd die so she could take the house. All time-stamped, all saved. I emailed a backup copy to myself. Then I sent another one, directly to her vice principal. 3 days later, I got a voicemail. Mr. Halstead, we've received some deeply concerning material regarding Ava's behavior. We'd like to schedule a meeting. Please give us a call back. I didn't tell her. I just waited. That night, she came storming into my room like a hurricane. What did you do? She yelled. Excuse me, I asked, folding a pair of socks on the edge of my bed. You sent them. My messages, my photos. I looked up at her, calm, controlled. I told you, I said. This wasn't a game. She started crying, but not from pain. This was the kind of cry people let out when they realize they're losing, like watching the steering wheel spin out of your hands at full speed. You ruined my life, she screamed. You made me look crazy. I stood up and met her eyes. No, Ava, you made yourself look crazy. I just showed people what was already there. She stormed off and slammed her door, but I knew she wasn't done. She was going to hit back. And she did. Next morning, my phone rang. It was my boss, and his voice didn't sound good. Mark, we've got a situation. Corporate got an anonymous tip saying you've been stealing from the warehouse, that you've got stuff stashed in your garage. My stomach dropped. What? That's not true. I believe you, he said, but corporate's sending someone to audit. They'll be there in 2 hours. I hung up and headed to the garage, and there it was, a big cardboard box labeled property of Nexport Freight, tucked in the corner. I didn't put it there, but she did. I didn't touch a thing, snapped some photos, then called the police myself. When they arrived and opened the box, it was filled with electronic parts, all barcoded from our warehouse. I looked the officers in the eye. There's a security camera right over the garage. Check the footage. I didn't bring that box here. They did, and sure enough, 3:36 a.m., there she was, Ava, dragging the box out of the trunk of her friend's car. They arrested her, not me, but it didn't end there. While she was in holding for the night, they found something else, something worse. On her phone, a group chat, messages, plans, and a list. A list with my name on it, and one word next to it, erase. The word erase next to my name changed everything. I was angry before, I was hurt, I felt betrayed. But when the detective showed me that message, my blood turned to ice. This wasn't just a rebellious teenager. This was someone who wanted her own father gone. When they questioned her, she laughed it off, said it was a joke, just a dumb list. But no one at that station was laughing. Least of all, me. They held her overnight. And when they finally let her out, it all went to hell. She didn't come home, vanished for 4 days. I didn't call, didn't report her missing. I figured she'd run to one of her loser friends or couch surf like she used to. Let them deal with her. Day 5, she came back. I was in the garage, fixing a drawer, when I saw her car pull up. She slammed the door and stormed toward me like she still owned the place. Her eyes were empty. You think you won, she said. I didn't respond. She stepped closer. You're gonna regret turning on me. And that's when I finally broke. Not with shouting, not with threats. I reached under my workbench, pulled out a folder, and held it out to her. I already regret protecting you. She ripped it from my hands and opened it. Inside, everything. Printed texts, photos, screenshots of her fake accounts, school emails, police reports, all of it. This, I said, is going to family court. She froze, eyes wide. I'm filing for emancipation on your behalf, I added. You don't want to be my daughter. Fine, you won't be. You'll be on your own, legally, financially. You turn 17 in 2 months. A judge will fast-track it. No health insurance, no house, no food, no car. And I've already contacted the school board. Every college you apply to will see your record. She looked like I'd slapped her. You can't do that. You can't just dump your own kid. You already did that, I said, when you lied about me, tried to get me fired, planted stolen goods, and made a death list with my name on it. She stared at me, voice trembling. I'll go to Mum. I nodded. I hope you do. Her eyes widened. I walked to the far corner of the garage and pulled out a box she'd never seen before. Inside was a flash drive and something else, a copy of the old voicemail her mother left me the night she walked out. I'd kept it all these years, never played it for Ava, until now. I hooked up a small speaker and hit play. Her mother's voice crackled through. Mark, I can't do this anymore. I am so done. She lies. She manipulates. She scares me. I think something's wrong with her. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells in my own home. I can't live like this anymore. Ava's face went white. I didn't leave you, I said softly. She did, and she left because of you. She didn't say anything. For the first time in years, she just stood there, silent. Then she turned and walked away. The next morning, I filed the paperwork for the emancipation. I also sent everything, every file, photo, voicemail, and report, to CPS and to someone I knew in the school district. 2 days later, she came back, tried to come home again, but the locks were changed. She stood at the door, ringing the bell, staring into the camera. I spoke through the ring system. "You're not welcome here anymore. I'm your daughter," she shouted. "No," I said. "You fired me from that job a long time ago." She stood there for 10 minutes, trying to come up with something, anything that might get her back in, but she was out of tricks, out of lies, out of fake affection, and eventually, she walked away. It's been 9 months since that day. From what I've heard, she's been couch surfing, tried enrolling in a GED program, got kicked out for harassment, burned every friendship she had left. Every so often, I still get texts from blocked numbers, usually something like "you're a monster" or "you'll regret this," but they don't hit like they used to. I've rebuilt, got promoted at work, took a vacation, my first in over a decade, started seeing someone, nothing serious, just easy, and I volunteer now, a local center for parents dealing with troubled teens. I don't give advice, I don't preach, I just sit and listen. Sometimes that's all someone needs. As for that folder, the one with all the evidence, it stays in a locked drawer, not out of fear, just as a reminder that some monsters aren't born, they're made, and some daughters don't need rescuing. They need to lose everything before they realize what they had. I still love her, but I don't miss her, and I sure as hell don't fear her anymore.